My goal was to get rejected every single day. No one in their right mind would actually do.
Okay.
But when you're trying to find failure, when you're trying to hear a no, your mindset's completely different. Because now there's a punishment associated with me failing.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear a no, you need to ask for something ridiculous. I would go to a restaurant, for example, and when I would take my order, I would ask them, hey, can I cook my food in the kitchen?
Yeah.
Multiple restaurants said yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So when I end up hearing no, I'm actually happier than if I heard yes.
Yeah. I had so many rejections.
Yeah.
Now, entrepreneurs face rejections every single day.
Exactly.
But I never thought about converting it into a positive thing
Yeah.
until you brought this up. Entrepreneurs, they don't give any sane parents wouldn't let their daughter marry an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurship itself is there is a lot of unknowns, so they don't want their daughter to go through that process. So
if your way of thinking is that yes is my success, no is my failure, it's very easy to get no, because it's easy to fail that way. If you're looking for no's, and no's are your success, then getting yeses are the failure, and it's very easy to get a yes.
Yeah. Techstars just flipped that mindset into a completely different way of thinking. So now we have officially wrapped up the introduction part. Let's move on to your rejection challenge. I mean, I heard you talk about rejection challenge in the KPH podcast, and it sounded intriguing, and I think there is a value in what you did, and a lot of Gen Z generation would resonate to that. So can you talk about it?
Yeah. I basically took a look at myself, and I felt like I was a pretty confident person.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there were still limitations, I would say. Inhibitions actually is probably a better word. So sometimes I would want to talk to somebody, but you always hear a voice in your head, oh, maybe I shouldn't bother them, maybe I shouldn't do that, oh, it's too much, I don't want to stick out, I don't want to be weird. Those sorts of, that mindset that you have when it comes to seizing an opportunity, there's sometimes a little voice that most of us hear that prevents us from doing sometimes very basic tasks, like sitting down with someone new or going up to a stranger and having a conversation. When those sorts of actions are really the ones where there's so many opportunities to take. And I want to get over that limitation. I want to be more confident in everything I do. And so I started to sit down with people. I started to have lunch with people. I would just go around Stanford and I would find someone sitting by themselves, sit down and, just have a conversation.
Yeah.
And the biggest unlock was, when I was if I was ever sitting by myself and I was just eating lunch or dinner, I would see someone and say, oh, if they sat down with me, that'd be nice. I'd have a conversation, it'd be cool. But when I was going to sit down and I saw someone sitting by themselves, my thought was, oh, if I sit with them, I'm probably bothering them.
Yeah.
And that's a thought that I think most people would have.
Yeah.
But I said, you know what? I'm just going to fight that urge. And I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And the conversations were so wonderful. Sometimes people were actually, a little bit shy in the beginning or they didn't want to open up. But after they started talking, I actually made so many friends that way. Yeah. And I started to really take this to another level in October of 2023 when I started this rejection challenge.
Okay.
My goal was to get rejected every single day.
Okay.
So every day I needed to hear no.
Okay.
And the idea was that if my goal was to hear no, my mindset changes.
Yeah.
So I had a punishment where if I didn't hear no for a day, I'd have to take a really cold shower.
Okay.
So I would go into these opportunities maybe where I need to ask someone for something. For example, I would maybe see someone, a group of people just standing around and talking. I say, oh, hey, can I join you? Or maybe I see a group of 3 random people walking down the street and I say, hey, where are you going? Can I come with you to this?
Yeah.
These are things that no one actually does.
Okay.
One time I was walking across campus and there was just someone in their car and I said, hey, do you mind taking me to my dorm?
Okay.
Someone I didn't even know.
Yeah.
These are actions that no one in their right mind would actually do.
Okay.
But when you're trying to find failure, when you're trying to hear a no, your mindset's completely different.
Yeah.
Because now there's a punishment associated with me failing.
Yeah.
So I need to ask for things. And what I found out was, as I would ask for things over and over again, people would just say yes.
Okay.
They keep saying yes over and over and over again. And I actually wouldn't hear a no. And so what I realized was, to actually hear a no, I need to ask for some audacious things, or I need to ask multiple times. But what surprised me was how often I would actually succeed in getting what I wanted, and how hard it was to hear no.
Yeah.
I thought, if you just ask for things, or if you try to shoot your shot, you will get rejected, you will hear no. But the biggest insight I got from this is hearing no is much harder than hearing yes.
Yeah.
It's actually, people don't want to tell you no.
Yes.
So if you want to hear a no, you need to ask for something ridiculous. I would go to a restaurant, for example, and when I would take my order, I would ask them, hey, can I cook my food in the kitchen?
Yeah.
Multiple restaurants said yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
They wouldn't tell me no.
Okay.
It's that crazy.
Yeah.
Where you think they would tell you no, but really you would. For example, I went to Stanford, one of the restaurants on campus,
Yeah.
and I ordered a burger, and I asked them, hey, can I cook this on the grill? And this was one of my first days doing the challenge. It was my first time asking this. So I said, oh, surely they'll tell me no.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what? Normally I would say no, but let me try to make this happen for you. I was like, oh my goodness, what? And so they said, go talk to that guy over there. So he's one of the managers. And I asked him, hey, I'd like to cook my burger on the grill. And he said, what? What do you mean? Like, you want some food? And he's like, no, I'd like to cook the food.
Yeah.
And he said, no one's ever asked us this before. And I said, I know. I'm weird. And he said, you know what? I like the fact that you asked me. I'll try to make it happen. Here, take this form, fill it out, and like maybe in a week we can get you in and you can cook your food on the grill. So I did it.
Oh, nice.
I went to one of the most famous restaurants for pho in in the Silicon Valley. And if you don't know, pho is like a Vietnamese soup.
Yeah.
They make it's a great soup. That restaurant's really well known.
Yeah.
And I ordered my food, and I went to the person taking my order. And I said, hey, can I go into the kitchen and can you give me a tour? And they're like, yeah, of course. That's not a problem. So the chef was so happy, actually. When I was asking, I was like, oh, it's 10 p.m. I haven't heard my no for the day. I need to try to hear it no somehow. So I asked and said, oh, maybe if I ask, they won't like it because they're probably busy. It's probably like some health and safety thing. But she was so happy. She was like, no one's ever asked me to show my kitchen. Look how clean I keep it. This is my process. This is how I do things. And you could see how much time and effort and love she puts into her craft.
Yeah.
So when your goal is to try to hear no, you end up asking for things that no one would ever ask for.
Yeah.
And as a result, you actually hear yes much more often than someone whose goal is to hear yes.
Yeah.
And that's really the mindset change. The biggest unlock was when I, before this challenge, would ask for something. If I hear yes, okay, good, I'm happy.
Yeah.
If I hear no, it hurts.
Yes.
So it hurts. There's a physical pain, and you need to get used to that by doing this challenge. And if I don't do anything, then nothing happens. So most of the time, I would just default to not even asking. Or most people do that. They go, oh, it's too much. But when your goal is to hear no, because I would have a punishment, right?
Yeah.
So I would ask 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes I would have to ask for 10 or 12 things in a day before I hear my no.
Yeah.
So when I end up hearing no, I'm actually happier than if I heard yes.
Yeah.
So now I just took the worst option and I made it the best option.
Okay.
So either I get what I want or I get something better by hearing no.
Okay.
And now the worst option is just not doing anything.
Yeah.
So now I have a bias for action
Yeah.
where if I see any opportunity, if I ask someone a question, if I just ask them, I win.
Yeah.
Because I either get what I want or I get something better.
Yeah.
I can't lose.
Yeah.
So now if I ask you something, you don't determine if I win.
Yeah.
If you say yes, I win. If you say no, then it hurts. In the regular case, you control whether I win or not.
Yeah.
But with this mindset change where no becomes the best option, I control if I win.
Okay.
Simply by asking, I win.
Okay.
And the more I ask, the more I win.
Yeah.
So it's completely within my control.
Yeah.
The impact that the world has on how you feel and how often you get what you want is gone.
Okay.
It's all in your control.
Right. So, how did that lead to you met some cool people out there
Yeah.
in Stanford, right?
So I started doing this challenge, and very quickly the pain of hearing no went away.
Okay.
It hurt the first day, hurt the second day, it hurt maybe a week. But after a week, I started running out of things that made me uncomfortable. I could ask anyone for anything. So I said, let me level this up. Because now when I ask for things, people always tell me yes. I'm actually struggling to hear no. What if I use this? So now I'm just going to ask for something completely ridiculous
Okay.
that I would never think I would get.
Yeah.
And if I hear yes, okay, great, I get
Yeah.
it. And if I hear no, I'm at least done for the day.
Yeah.
Because trying to find a no is so stressful.
Yes.
I need to think, oh my goodness, how am I gonna ask these people? What am I gonna ask for? How many times do I have to ask? How do I do it in a way that, is respectful? But if I ask for something ridiculous, then okay, so be it.
Yeah.
So there were so many opportunities at Stanford for getting rejected. We had so many high profile speakers come by.
Yeah.
We had Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google. We had Jerome Powell, who's the chairman of the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
We had Gary Tan, the CEO of
YC.
Y Combinator, and many, many more speakers. Even Mark Andreessen, one of the biggest venture capitalists in the world, came by. And so I look up to these people, and I said, how can I leverage my newfound ability to get some success here? So Sundar Pichai was having a talk, and obviously there's like a lot of security. It's very hard to reach out to him. So I said, I'm going to try to use this rejection challenge to meet him.
Okay.
I'm going to try to fail.
Okay.
And so I tried many, many times to get into the event. I wasn't even allowed.
Yeah.
And it took a long, long time. And I actually heard many, many no's.
Okay.
So I was there since like 7 a.m, trying to get into the event, trying to talk to people, trying to make some friends. I would go to this event and everybody's so much older than me.
Yeah.
And I just walk into conversation. I say, hey, my name's Allen. How are you? Because I'm not afraid of getting kicked out.
Yeah.
If someone kicks me out, then I got my no.
Yeah.
So that's no longer something that holds me back.
Yeah.
So I've infinite confidence.
Yes.
I could talk to anybody. I could ask for anything. I asked many people, hey, can you sneak me into this event? And people said yes.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what? Yeah, let me try. And then the guards actually stopped them. They had security outside the entrance. So eventually, I went around the back and I saw someone standing there. He looked like a security guard. So I said, oh, maybe I shouldn't talk to them. Maybe he'll kick me out or get me in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, who cares?
Yeah.
At least I get my no. So let me go talk to the guy. It actually wasn't security.
Yeah.
He was another student from the law school. I think he was waiting for Jerome Powell to come out of this
really?
event.
Okay.
Jerome Powell and Sundar Pichai were there in the same day.
Okay.
And so he told me, yeah, this is where they come out.
Yeah.
So at the end of the event, I actually went in, I snuck in, I saw Sundar Pichai, and the security started to take me out.
Yeah.
And as they took me out, and they said, yeah, you stay here, don't talk to him. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave.
Yeah.
And I start walking away when Sundar Pichai comes out, and the security starts, messing with me. Like, hey, don't talk to him, don't talk to him. But Sundar Pichai saw this. He said, you're the guy who's inside, right? You
Yeah.
just want a photo, right?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we took a photo, had a good time, had a quick conversation. Similar thing with Sam Altman.
Yeah.
He came to Stanford campus multiple times, and I was able to use similar thinking to meet him, where most of the people stay inside the event. They might ask him questions or whatever, but none of them actually get to meet him. To meet him, you need to really think outside the box.
Yeah.
And if you're only looking for success, that box of ideas that you actually have is very small.
Yeah.
The amount of possibilities of actions you can take is very small. But when your goal is failure, you consider things that most people would just dismiss subconsciously.
Yeah.
So I think, let me go and try this ridiculous thing that has no chance of working.
Yeah.
But it actually might.
Yeah.
And so I met Sam Altman multiple times, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
And one time I got him to sign my laptop.
Oh,
So
okay.
That was my laptop today. Yeah, has a signature of Sam Altman on it. If you go to Wikipedia and you go to Sam Altman's Wikipedia page and you look at his signature, you click on it, there'll be a link to my Twitter profile. And I have my name on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a really good story. I mean, the way you narrated it, the philosophy that you used to validate the rejection
Yeah.
is very intriguing.
Mhm.
For me, in the last 50 years, I had so many rejections.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs face rejections every single day.
Exactly.
But I never thought about converting it into a positive thing
Yeah.
until you brought this up.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is, GenX, people who are 50 and above, they grew up in a different world.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you grew up in India or in US, the world was a little bit different back in 70s and 80s. Whether even if it's in the US, people had limited resources and choices.
Mm-hmm.
For me, growing up in India, if you couldn't get to your milk vendor on time, on a specific time, you wouldn't have milk that day, So the very first action that you take in the morning might result in a rejection.
Yeah.
So rejection was inbuilt in that generation. Even your parents, if you plead and argue, you wouldn't get anything from them because, first of all, there were limited resources. For example, I grew up with probably one toy my entire life. I had a tricycle. That's it. So the rejection is, we grew up with an organic rejection from the beginning. So we never thought, okay, we should take a rejection challenge to experience rejection. We have enough rejections already.
Yeah.
It's not just in regular life. Even finding a bride or talking to a girl, the first response is always rejection. And funny enough, I wanted to start a company soon after I graduated. And I floated this idea with my parents. It was immediately shot down.
But you did it anyways.
Yeah, because I had to wait another 20 years to actually start it. So I started late. Then, you know what, the funny thing, the reason why they didn't allow me to start a company was because during that period, you cannot find a bride. Entrepreneurs, they don't give any sane parents wouldn't let their daughter marry an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurship itself is, there is a lot of unknowns. So they don't want their daughter to go through that process. So every single phases of life, whether you are going to a butcher, whether you are going to buy milk, in schools, with your parents, rejection was inbuilt in the society. And so we kind of accepted rejection as a day-to-day thing. And we never thought we could take a rejection challenge to experience rejection and to convert them into something very positive. That's a really nice way of, twisting something very negative into a very positive thing. And
for sure.
You talked about using your rejection challenge to getting into YC. I mean, can you explain that?
Yeah, for sure. The whole point is to seek out rejection, right?
Yeah.
So to try to find it, which completely changes the way you think. In fact, I was at Stanford for 3 years, and I dropped out to begin this company. So after my third year of Stanford, I had some job offers lined up, some internships.
Yeah.
And this is the internship before I graduate, so it's really the important one that determines what job I get. And in some conversations I had with some founders, they said, you know what? What are you planning to do actually when you graduate? I said, I want to work on my company. I want to start something by myself. I don't want to be employed. I want to take the skills I have and build a company. And they said, okay, then why are you going to do an internship for another company if that's not what you plan to do? I said, it's a plan B. I've worked at Amazon for a few years. I want to try maybe something different. I'm only applying to Apple and Google because these are companies I really look up to.
Okay.
And if I get in, awesome. If I don't, I'll just work on my own company.
Okay.
And what they said was, if you have no plan B, plan A has to work.
Yeah.
So they said, don't even apply.
Yeah.
If your path to success
Mm-hmm.
has some safety net
Yeah.
or has some pathway where you'll be okay if you fail, then you sort of accept that as a reality.
Right.
If you make it so that you have no plan B, if you fail, nothing's going to work.
Yeah.
That's the only way sometimes that plan A can work.
Yeah.
And he said, if you really do want to start a company, if you really want to get into entrepreneurship, don't even send an application to Apple. Don't even apply to Google.
Yeah.
Just accept the fact that you're going to work on this company this summer and make it happen.
Yeah.
And so that summer, I started exploring with some ideas I had. In April before that, I actually built the first version of what is now a Friday.
Yeah.
It was an email assistant for my Gmail.
Yeah.
Instead of handling my emails, it would like sort my emails in order of importance. It would
Okay.
learn over time what emails were important to me, and it would sort them.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem I had was, yes, you can sort them in order of importance, but I still have to go through all my emails anyways.
Yeah.
So I need some way to perform the actions.
Okay.
And as I explained earlier, that's now Friday.
Yeah.
It figures out what to do, and it'll perform that action for you. You just
Yeah.
have to approve it. And we immediately just started to work on it and get some users. We launched within the first week.
Okay.
We launched quickly. That was a mistake that I made many times in the past, working on something for too long and
Yeah.
not launching early enough. And the rejection challenge actually really helped
Yeah.
because we would go up to people. We'd go to startup founders. We'd go to our friends and we'd say, hey, do you have an email assistant? Are you spending a lot of time in your email? If you are, use this product, pay for it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are uncomfortable to ask for payments. People will say, oh, here you can use a coupon code or you can try this for free.
Yeah.
I make my friends pay for the product.
Oh,
I say,
okay.
if you like it,
Yeah.
pay for it.
Yeah.
If you don't think there's enough value to pay for it, don't pay for it. Let me fix it.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's that muscle,
Yeah.
you build up of being comfortable with rejection, to seek it out.
Yeah.
And to someone who's not familiar with that mindset, you seem almost insane.
Yeah.
And as you said, entrepreneurship is riddled with rejection.
Yeah.
And anybody looking to get into entrepreneurship should be very comfortable with hearing no.
Yeah.
And this has been one of the skills that has been most useful to me.
Yeah.
When I was fundraising, I had a very easy time fundraising actually because I would
Oh.
do things very differently.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I worked on this company. We got some users very quickly, and I still had 1 year left of Stanford.
Okay.
And my parents were actually pretty similar in that they said, you should just finish your degree. You have like less than 1 year left.
Yeah.
And the way I thought about it was, you know what? Let me just apply to Y Combinator.
Yeah.
I want to join a startup accelerator. I want to work on this company. I want to make it into something that actually solves
Yeah.
problems for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to apply.
Yeah.
Best thing they can say is no.
Yeah.
Usually the saying is the worst thing they can say is no.
Yeah.
For me, it's the best thing they can say
Yeah.
is no. Because, again, no is the best
Yeah.
option. So I just sent in an application. We got an interview. We actually didn't do too well in the first interview, but they re-interviewed us
Yeah.
again. They wanted a second round of interviews, and
Yeah.
we did a lot better there.
Okay.
And we got into YC. Now, the big decision was, I've been at Stanford for 3 years. I have less than 1 year left.
Yeah.
Do I drop out and work on this company full time, or do I just complete my degree and then maybe see what happens?
Yeah.
And it was tough. I had some of my mentors saying, you should complete your degree, and some people were saying, oh, you should go all in on the company. The interesting thing was, I noticed when you ask people for advice, almost always they will give you advice that aligns with their past experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I asked a startup founder, what should I do? They said, oh, drop out. If they dropped out, they say, oh yeah, you should drop out.
Yeah.
If they completed their degree, they say, oh, don't drop out, complete
Yeah.
your degree.
Yeah.
So whatever they did, they'll tell you,
Yeah.
which is something I noticed, which is actually very interesting. And the other thing is, I paid a lot of attention to the people who went against their past experiences.
Okay.
So if I talked to someone who graduated and they said you should drop out,
Yeah.
I added more weight to that
Okay.
because their biases are not affecting their reasoning,
yeah.
or their reasoning is so strong it actually overcame their biases.
Yeah, okay.
So it was a decision. I talked to many people about it. I got a lot of advice, but ultimately I said, you know what? It's still hard to decide. I'm just going to sleep on it.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I went to bed. I woke up, and I woke up that morning. I still remember it, like it's very clearly. And first thought I had was, I'm a risk taker.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of failure. I'm not afraid of things not working out.
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable with rejection, with pain, with things not working out.
Yeah.
And I trust in myself to handle whatever situation comes at me. So I'm not going to take the safe option.
Yeah.
I'm not going to complete the degree. I'm going to drop out. I'm going to work on this and really follow that conviction.
Yeah. So, I got rejected 3 times in YC, 3 times in Techstars. So when I applied, I completely changed my, strategy, and I focused on the Techstars editions that probably would accept me, So we went to ours is a deep tech company, so I took the Industries of Future edition of Techstars in Knoxville, Tennessee. So I only applied to like 2 Techstars editions that spring. So getting into YC is even harder, I know. And from my experience in Techstars, I know the amount of knowledge you gather in that 6 months is like a mini MBA,
Yeah.
So what is the one thing that you learned in YC? What was your experience? How was it completely different from your Stanford experience, or is it
completely different, actually? Stanford is a great place. There's a lot of opportunities, and there's a lot of brilliant people, which I liked. Everybody there is so interesting, which is also why I loved having conversations with random people. Everybody has some hidden gem about them that makes them exceptional. Stanford has like a 2-3% acceptance rate. So the people there are sometimes may not appear exceptional. They seem like a regular person, but you talk to them and then, oh yeah, I'm actually like world champion in karate. Okay. YC was a little bit different though. For those who don't know, YC or Y Combinator is the world's biggest, most famous, most successful technology startup accelerator. Companies like Airbnb, Stripe, DoorDash, Dropbox, Coinbase came out of Instacart too. Came out of Y Combinator, and it's even more restrictive than Stanford is. It's actually more competitive. I think the acceptance rate is below 1%. Thousands of people apply every single quarter. Almost nobody gets in. They accept around 100 to 200 companies per batch. Our batch was actually one of the smallest ever.
Oh, really?
It was about 100 companies. So it hasn't been that small since like 2012, 2013. So it's one of the most limited batches. And in fact, so it was we didn't think we would get in. We thought we'd have to apply multiple times, and that's part of the reason why we just applied in the summer and said, you know what, I don't think we'll get in. We actually applied to many different startup accelerators. Ironically, most of the other startup accelerators said no. They said, oh, we don't like the idea, or like most of them didn't even give us an interview. So it was very interesting that YC had a different thought process. They care a lot about the founders, the way that they think. They don't care about the idea, which is, I think, what separates YC from most other startup accelerators.
Correct.
they focus a lot on the founders,
Yeah.
knowing that the idea is always going to change.
Yes.
Some things that I learned from YC that are gold
Okay.
is they really hammer into you the power of doing things that don't scale. Do things that don't scale is one of YC's like mottos.
Yeah.
What that means is when most engineers think about building something,
Mhm.
they always think of scale.
Yeah.
They think, okay, I'm building a service. How's it going to handle 100 people? How's it going to handle 1,000 people?
Yeah.
You would never do something that handles one person or
Yeah.
two people.
Yeah.
But YC really tries to break that way of thinking.
Yeah.
And they're correct.
Yeah.
Everybody should be taught this. And in fact, they don't teach this in
Yeah.
schools, this way of thinking. To just brute force problems.
Yeah.
If I'm starting a company and I have 1 user or 5 users or 0 users,
Mhm.
let's say I'm competing with, let's say I'm building the next Uber.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm starting from scratch and I'm competing with giants,
Yeah.
Uber and Lyft, maybe even like Waymo and Tesla, right? The benefit I have is that I am small.
Yeah.
I have more time to allocate. So if I'm fighting for my first user,
Mhm.
I can put 100% of my time into that user.
Yeah.
Whereas Uber has a fraction of a percent of their time to dedicate to that user.
Right.
They can only spend like a few dollars.
Right.
I can spend my entire being
Yeah. Okay.
understanding that person,
Yeah.
understanding their problems, caring about them, and seeing what are the issues that you're actually facing.
Yeah.
For us, it was like, okay, what are the problems that you're actually dealing with in email? You don't want another flashy email client. You actually want something that just solves your problem.
Yes.
So we would focus on just one person,
Yeah.
and we say, how can we actually fix your issue?
Yeah.
What we did was we got into YC, and one thing that's great is they push you to have very ambitious goals. In about a week or two, we had about, I think, 20 users paying around $20 a month.
Yeah.
So we had around $400 in monthly revenue.
Yeah.
Their goal was, how can you add $1,000 in monthly revenue in this next week? And we thought about it. We said, okay, we'd have to get 50 more users,
Yeah.
which is difficult because it took
Yeah.
us a while to get those
Yeah, I
users.
know.
Most of them are our friends.
Yes.
And they said, do things that don't scale.
Yeah.
Don't do advertising, or don't use social media. Don't use the traditional methods to get users. Think differently.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, we can have either 50 users that pay $20 a month,
Yeah.
or we could have 2 users that pay $500 a month.
Yeah.
What service can we provide that someone would pay $500 a month for?
Mm-hmm.
So we looked around. We saw that the previous YC batch was having their end of the batch after party.
Okay.
So we just went there. And what I said was, I went to the founder and I said, hey, instead of selling a service that costs if I go up to you and I said, oh, hey, we have this email system costs $500 a month, you're not even gonna listen to me.
Correct.
But because I know all the ways that people say no, I
Mhm.
also know the way that they'll say yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm very good at getting yeses.
Yeah.
Getting no is hard, but
Yeah.
getting yes is easy for me.
Yeah.
I get yeses all the time.
Yeah.
Yeses are how I fail
Yeah.
in a way, right? So if your way of thinking is that yes is my success, no is my failure, it's very easy to get no because it's
Yeah.
easy to fail that way.
Yeah.
If you're looking for no's,
Yeah.
and no's are your success, then getting yeses are the failure, and it's
Yeah.
very easy to get a yes.
Yeah.
Just dime a dozen.
Yeah.
So the way I was thinking was, okay, how do I get a yes here?
Yeah.
And instead of selling our service, what I said was, we have an email assistant,
Yeah.
but you're a new founder. You just finished fundraising. You have a lot of inbound. You spend a lot of time just going through your email. How about this? I will be your personal assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Me as a human. We're not going to use the AI.
Mhm.
I'm going to manage your email personally. I'm a Stanford founder. A Stanford dropout, a YC founder. I'm a very smart guy. I'm smarter than pretty much any assistant that you'll probably hire.
Yeah.
And I'm going to manage your email manually
Yeah.
for only $500 a month.
Yeah.
Because an assistant will cost you $50K or
Yeah.
$60K. So that's what, $5,000, $4,000
Yeah.
a month.
Yeah.
And I'm saying I only charge $500.
Yeah.
So now you flip the mindset. Now it's a
Yeah.
no-brainer.
Yeah.
I could have sold them that service for $2,000 and they'd
Yeah.
probably say yes.
Okay.
So I found 5, 6, 8 people, I think,
Yeah, okay.
in total, and I sold them on this $500 a month plan.
Oh, really? Okay.
3 of them ended up converting.
Okay.
Not bad. So we had
Okay.
$1,500 in revenue.
Yeah.
And that's just an example of the way that
Why
rejection thinking
yeah.
helps, and the way that brute forcing
Yeah.
helps,
Yeah.
right? None of our competitors, none of the big companies that are in email could ever do that.
Yeah.
No CEO can go and say, I will manage your email personally,
Yeah.
right? So our guarantee was, we're going to use our assistant. The assistant's going to manage your email, but if it fails, I will do it personally.
Yeah.
And nobody could say no to that offer. They said, wow, that, because worst case scenario, I get you.
Yeah.
And that's great because my time is valuable.
For me, getting into Techstars was an eye opener, basically. So, from a GenX perspective, we were told over and over again that don't take money from anyone. Be frugal, you know, because there is limited resources, like I said before. So be frugal, don't take money, don't use others' money. So I wasn't really convinced about the startup model. For those you don't know, startup model is a completely different business model than the traditional lifestyle businesses. You know, people think startup is something that they start new, but no, startup has a different business model where your idea and your execution would ensure that it grows in a holistic model. So that is the fundamental difference between a lifestyle business and a startup model. And I wasn't convinced about this model because you are utilizing other people's money. So I resisted taking money from someone and tried to bootstrap it for 12 years. But we reached a point where in order to scale, you had to have the venture capital investment. So I thought, anyway, we are going to take money. So, and I resisted going into any accelerators before too. So let's try this YC or Techstars and see what they have to offer. And I'm really glad that I did because Techstars just flipped that mindset in me into a completely different, way of thinking. So right now, I can see startup, taking money from someone is you are sharing your wealth and sharing your risk. Okay, so that mindset flipped is what Techstars helped me to accomplish, and I'm really thankful that I went. And I don't think there are only few accelerators who can do that because accelerators are focused on founders to start something. Starting is very easy, but you need to have the right mindset to actually continue that journey, right? And Techstars installed that thought process and mindset and for me to continue further into that.